Yeah, so happy Wednesday to you all. Who has read this book? Positional Judgment, High-Speed Game Analysis.
I've looked at it.
You looked at it, all right.
What's it called?
Positional Judgment and High-Speed Game Analysis by Cho Chikun. It's actually written in a really engaging style. It's pretty entertaining. For a book that's about counting, that's pretty interesting. But the point about counting that I want to get across is not about knowing the value of every single endgame move. It's more about the point of counting is to answer the question, how much do you need, right? If you're going to attack, how much do you need? If you need to defend, how much do you need? So I'm going to give you sort of the summary of the first couple of chapters of this book, and we're going to do some of the problems from this book. But ultimately, if I can get you guys to remember any part of it, it is this: count from the most solid to the least solid. So the idea when you're doing your judgment is you count up all the firm territory, and then you get to the moyos at the end, right? So you count the firm territory, that's decided, that's clear. Then you figure out where the thickness is, and then from there you estimate the moyo. And so that sort of works how your decision-making process is. Once you've figured out what's left, you know, I have to hold the moyo to this much, or I have to get this much from this. Like, that's the point of counting it in that order. So I want to talk about a couple positions real quick. If I say, Drew, how many points does white get out of this corner? What would you say?
In half a second, I'd say 10 points.
10 points. Why would you say 10 points?
Because I am drawing a line straight down.
Straight down for both of these.
Yes.
And you see this is like
8, 9 actually.
So 9 points, right?
Yeah.
So if I told you that the answer is 6 points, this is one of the reasons that life and death is kind of important in counting, and it's not a matter of knowing the end game so much as having a way to predict who's going to get each move.
Right.
So this is 6 points because this is basically Sente, right? And this is a shape we know, right?
Yes.
We know the life and death status of this. It's an L+1 group, right?
Right.
So we know actually that white needs to play another move here, right? So when we're looking at it like this, right, because we've done all of our life and death problems, we know that that sequence is basically black's right?
Right.
So even after we do this, and I throw stones literally everywhere and refuse to use these stones because why? I don't care about counting who's going to get this exchange, right? This could be either side. Does that make sense? So like this is much more knowable as blacks. This, it's like a 50-50 chance who's going to get this sequence. So for me, for this one, we would count it. We just extend straight to the edge and we count like that, right? Does that make sense? So, same question. How much is this black side and how much is this white side? How do you decide how to count these? This is kind of abstract, but...
About 8 points apiece?
About 8 points apiece?
Well, I mean, it's going to vary significantly depending on who gets the next move, but
sure, but
averaged.
Right, so in conjunction with the stuff that you just missed, the idea is that neither side is really Sente for either one, right? So as a result, we can say this is probably 6 points for black, and this is probably 8, 9 points for white, and we don't count either of these. Right? With the idea that it's probably more of a 50-50 shot. This is probably a better problem if you put it out here like this. But in any way, I just wanted to use this shape because having this reinforcement here means you can be fairly sure that there aren't as many placements and stuff like this available there. So that's the idea. So we've got 5 problems set up, and I want to tell you about each of the problems and what we're going to do. So let's cut to that real quick. So here's the first one. So it's an even game, so we got a 6-point Comey. So the question here is, how many points does black need from the left, right? That's the most undefined area, right? Black has some territory here and here. White has territory here, 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 and here. So how much does black need to get from the undefined area on the left side? Make sense? Okay, so tell me, this is similar. The last 2 moves played were these 2 moves. So white plays here, and then black plays here. So the question that I have to you is, Do that again. White here, black here. So the question is, what is the status and what are the prospects of the game? Just from counting, you can sort of figure out what's going to happen, right? Sound good? This is the hardest maybe because you'll need to estimate the size of this moil as well as knowing some of the possible sequences that we could see here in the upper left, right?
Are
So
these,
spend some time
are these
thinking about
pro games or Q games?
these are problems from the book, Positional Judgment, High-Speed Game Analysis. So these are problems from that book. This next one is a 5-stone game. So this problem here is a 5-stone game. Take your time, read out the status of everything, and tell me, who's ahead, who's behind, how much, right? Come up with an estimate. Sound good? And come up with, if this is black, what should black's plan be for the remainder of the game? Okay? Okay. Ditto here. This is also a 5-stone game. The question here, again, is who do you think is going to win and why? Okay, so these are going to be some hard questions to ask, to answer. So take your time. And then the last one is sort of is one of the ones from the advanced application section of the book. It's this one over here. This is Kitane Gosaigen. Again, black has secure territory and white has a moyo. So the question is, how much territory does white need to get from the moyo on the left-hand side? Okay, sound good? All right, so take your time and think about them, and it might be helpful to write down answers because these have numbers, and I wouldn't expect you to remember them when we come back around to review them. So that might be helpful, okay? Cool, and there's paper and stuff available. So you guys were talking about this one?
Yep. Well, yeah, I was hypothesizing that if white goes here and black goes here and a bunch of stuff happens and white lives small over there and then black gets thickness over here, how much territory does black have then, and is that enough for white?
So even better than this one is just counting out this one. Something like this. Even if we assume that white will manage to live in here, right?
Right.
This is probably better for black than attaching on top and letting white live in the corner. Because you see how white's life is going to be smaller?
I see.
And you're also going to get a lot more moves in the center, right? If you're trying to convert this into territory, you want these moves that shut it in to be closer.
And we're not concerned about a thinness here and a white stone coming in.
Since
there.
white just played here, white's not going to be able to do both at the same time, right?
Right,
So-
because white's got to live first, and then black will be able to come
That's
back and
right.
reinforce this.
That's right.
Okay. So now the question is, does white have any better invasion
Well, even if
points?
you just think about this,
Was
what
that-
is the score?
Did I take a stone off, by the way?
No.
Okay.
You didn't take a stone off, but you could also consider doing the same thing where you estimate the score when it looks like this. Does that make sense?
I see. So if black's well ahead by doing this, then we say, can white get crazier with his initial move?
I think the idea is just to sort of understand how black has to respond to different white invasions, like how far ahead. Does that make sense? So what do we have? What do we think?
I have white ahead in this. That's
I don't.
by just over Comey.
All right, I'll tell you what, let's start with the different territories. How much for this? We looked at it 6. How much for this? 10-ish. How much for this? How much for this?
10-ish.
12, 13-ish, right? So 6, 10, 10, 10. This is actually more like 13 as well. So this is 20, that's 20. White has 40.
42.
Plus the 6-point Comey is about 46. Black. Oh, forgot Comey. That's important. Okay. So how about black?
Black has about 35.
About 35. How are you getting that, George?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times 30, and 4 in here.
So sorry, where did you draw the lines here? Just show me with the
Right. This is the border.
From
So it's
there
1,
over?
2. Yeah. It's because this is kind of a who decides
That's
to play
right. That's
first.
right. It's whoever gets there first.
Yeah. So so that was B. I forgot
this is-
34. Well, that's more. 30 plus this, and I can't remember how many I put on those, but
Oh, okay.
that's about
How many would you put on them now?
1, 2, 3. I put 10 or so right here.
10 or so right there. Okay. And here?
2, 4, 6. 7 to 10 there.
Okay, so this is 7 to 10, this is also 7 to 10. The real question is, how much do we count here? If we count conservatively that black will get this, right? This is like 30 odd, right? So how much did white have? We had 46?
But wait, but this is, you have to add this too.
That's right, that's what I'm doing. So 30 odd
plus this.
makes 44. So it's
Yeah.
44 to white's 46, 47. But the question now is, we counted this really conservatively. What are the available potential territories? Well, this thickness here is going to make black some additional points here.
Right.
How many additional points does he need?
Not a lot.
Not a lot, right?
So I said white needs to be pretty aggressive if he wants to win this game. Maybe do something like this.
You didn't see Bogdan play that move? You're like 5 down now, look at that.
No, I didn't
That's
see
great.
him.
Well, it's not obviously a good move.
It's not obviously a good move, but the analysis is correct that makes you do it. White can't afford to do a reduction like this. If we count the territories like this, black is still probably going to be ahead, right? Especially because, you know, this is still going to be something that white's going to have to take care of, right? So from this, we can see that black maybe would be happy to do this. Maybe if white does do this, maybe black doesn't have to do something crazy like this, right? Where you're risking a lot more. Make sense? So this kind of analysis, being able to do that kind of thinking, will let you know how you can reply to things like this, or this, or this, and understand, you know, how much you need to make. Sound good? Okay, good stuff. Let's go on to the next one. Different possible variations for this one.
I didn't even bother to try to count black in this.
We just counted white.
Yeah, I just counted
Right.
white.
And so what did we count for white?
I counted white at 42, or 48,
48?
yeah.
How did White get into that?
George, you should be very thankful. It says white has 47 points, so he did really good. Right at 48. 48. All right, so, but the real question here is, with white's 48 points, this is going to be really hard, right? The idea is the last 2 moves were this.
Oh,
Right, we take those 2 moves off the board. Maybe white still has a chance if he invades here immediately. But he or she, right?
Yes.
But after this here, just gonna be hard.
Yeah.
So again, one of the easier things to look at was the idea of this exchange, right? That even if black just does this, odds are black is still gonna be ahead after white pulls some rabbit out of a hat to make that live.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. So maybe you won't wait and let a moyo get too big, right? Maybe you'll figure out how to do that earlier. Sound good? Okay, this one. All right, let's get to some of these interesting handicap game positions. All right, so first let's check. What's the status of this black group up here?
Dead.
Everybody, good, dead. So as a result, what is the score? I know we got some variation on this one. So both you and you counted white with 130 points.
Yes.
However, you said that black was ahead 20 points, and you said white was ahead 20 points.
I have white 118, black 130.
Black
I revised
130.
my answer to 15 instead of 20, but
Okay.
yes, black is ahead.
How about you guys? What do you think? White or black?
I have black 136 and white 124.
124, okay.
Yeah, I have black ahead by about 20 points.
Okay, what are the undecided areas of territory still on this board? That, right?
Yeah, that and this.
A little bit on there.
Yeah,
Not that
exactly.
All right, now the last question, and the last part of the question on this one was, if it's black to play, what is black's probable next move?
The block there, yeah.
The block there? You guys would play the block there?
There, or something to make the corner.
No, white, that's already dead.
Couldn't figure out how the white could live there.
White can't indeed live here, but the question
okay.
is here is you'd play the block here?
let's go.
Assuming white doesn't have magic in there. I don't think he does.
Is that the best way you could do that?
You don't have
Well,
to
it's
go
threatening to
there.
capture these 3 stones.
And after
And after this, then, oh, I see. Then
that
this
takes
moves Gote.
Gote. Right, if black plays here, he'll shut off this entire side in Sente, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ah, give up one more stone to get Sente. That's good.
We've done a couple problems with this shape, actually. So I'm a little, oh gosh.
Why is this Sente? Go ahead and show it.
Why is this Sente? If white doesn't play here, white giving up those 3 stones is a lot, right? And so in this case, after throwing in that stone for a sacrifice, white has to keep doing this, right? And then even this has to play there, right?
Okay.
So after that, the only undecided borders, if you posit that black can kill anything white tries to do down here, the undecided borders are here. And so if you're black and you're looking at this game, you can say, what do I have to hold white to be able to win? White's territory is known. White will have basically no more points, right? Like there's a 2-point endgame move here, there's a little endgame here, but now you're black, you know exactly how much you have to hold white to be able to win this game. And as it turns out, it is pretty close, but black should win. It was a 5-stone handicap game. So, you know, if you think that white might throw a stone in here, throw a stone in here and try and live, I mean, I would if it was a 5-stone handicap game, but it shouldn't live. So that's left as an exercise to the reader. So this was one 5-stone game. Let's look at the next one. I'm going to take this around here with my chair. Okay. So, what do we get for this one?
Black is winning so far.
So far.
But it's a handicap game,
But it's
so
a handicap.
who knows who's actually going to win.
How far?
Not very. Not 5 stones worth.
I have black ahead by 24 points.
24. Okay. Anyone got another number
I
for
had
me?
less than that. I think I had like 15.
8 points.
8 points.
I have a 30-point margin.
3 points. Did you say
I said
3 or
30.
30 points margin for black, Frank.
I have 30 points as well.
So we've got between 3 and 8. Is that 30 and 8, sorry. 30 and 8 points. Okay, so so we start with the firmest territories, which are here, here. We can probably assume, you know, white can make this attachment, right? And black can just extend. But even if we do that, we can count all of this for black, right? Here, you can count this and this as mi for white, right? Mi for white and black. So you can count it either way you want. It works out about the same. The interesting question is, how much potential does white have? Right? Because once you count those territories, you see that white has to somehow surround a lot of territory here, which is going to be pretty hard, or somehow kill something. Considering that this is kind of, you know, there's some stuff here, it's going to be hard for white to make big territory in this way without pushing white into the weakness, pushing black into the weakness up here. Right? Sound good? So, I had black close to 22 points, 20 points. But that was after giving white the advantage of some of those reduction moves. So, that's just me. I mean, again, in this case, I would think as black should be okay. However, 5-stone handicap game, white might catch up a 20-point lead in the endgame. So, not a good substitute for not learning your endgame. But in this case, we're at an even game, I would say black is happy. Sound good? All right, let's go look at the last one, the Katani Go Saigen game.
Okay.
I'm guessing the black is Katani here. I'm guessing that black is Katani.
I don't know.
We don't have any Go Saigen.
But that would mean that Go Saigen didn't play the 3-3. Are you sure that's what you're saying?
All right, so black's got the solid territory, white's got the potential, right? So white's got territory here, black's got territory here and here. How much does white need here to match what black has here and here?
Not a lot.
How?
21.
Be more specific than a lot.
I counted black's territory at 75 and white's at 30, I think. Just this, none of that.
I counted that all white needs to match black is to just get up to here. Anything he gets in here is bonus.
That's a good way to do it. That's actually sort of what the book looks at. Is it takes the things from the third line under because it's the easiest to look at. One of the sequences they give is the idea of black starting with the corner invasion. And if he does that, the problem is that it's going to be very likely that white's territory here is going to become solid, and that after an invasion like this, we could play out a few sequences where black gets like 6 points, but as a result, much more solid, right? Similarly, if black does something desperate like this, turning that whole corner into territory is also going to be too good, right? The move that he came up with was this one, which aims both at the thinness here and the thinness here. But that's sort of like, hey, all right, I guess, that's why you're a pro. But good job if you guys came up with that answer for how much white needed to get over here. All right, that's what I had to say. Any other questions? If anyone wants to look at the book, there are more of these problems in the book. We can set them up and we can go over them. You guys can play games, whatever you want to do. So, any other questions? No? No? Class dismissed.
So what was the next move after that? So
I don't know. You want to look it up? Let's go find it.
Yeah. Well,